Pete, what's up, Pete? He's in the mastermind. He says, hey guys, my client is a service area business and wants to expand into nearby locations, and they want their own GMB listings branded in their business name. My questions are, would you use the business name on every GMB listing? I only ask because I've seen some franchise companies use brand name with local modifier at the end for each location and then use a virtual telephone number with different address. Yes, Pete. Well, first of all, I wouldn't append the location to the name because if it's for a brand, that's kind of a spam signal in my opinion. So if it's for a brand, I would just use the brand name. Okay. But you want a unique physical location when you verify the GMB, which if you're doing it yourself, you're going to have to get your own separate unique addresses for each location, right? If you're ordering it from us, don't worry about it. They'll be unique when we order them or when we verify them, excuse me. But you're going to want a unique physical location, physical address, excuse me, a unique phone number, and a unique landing page or website URL, right? So remember, if you're building this for a brand, and if the company says, well, I want you to just put our homepage URL as the website for all of the listings, don't do that. Don't do that, especially if they're maps expansions, right? Maps expansion listings. In other words, if they don't physically have a real office in the location that you're setting up a maps listing, then do not link directly from the GMB to their website. Don't do it, okay? Because that could create a problem down the road because you don't actually have a physical location in that area, right? So what I would recommend at that point is just use the GMB website, and at which point you can link to from within the content of the GMB website to the corporate website if you'd like. But I wouldn't link to it from the GMB listing. In other words, from like the website or the appointment URL or any of that. I would not do that. If you are adamant or the client is adamant about linking to their site, then I would recommend that you create landing pages on subdomains of the root domain and use the subdomain URL that's unique to each location as the website URL. Because subdomains aren't the same as a root domain or a inner page of a root domain in that it's less of a footprint. I mean, it's still a footprint. They're all connecting back to the same domain, but the difference is if you catch a penalty on the root domain or any of its inner pages, it's going to apply the penalty to domain wide, including all subdomains if there are any, right? So it can actually hurt the entire domain. But if you catch a penalty on any one of the subdomain sites or pages in this case, I mean, you can install WordPress if you'd like, but I would just create an HTML landing page, a nice one that's, set up for conversions, like a lead capture, all that kind of stuff. And I would just install them on subdomains, duplicate those pages, just change the, NAP info on those pages. You could just duplicate them. It'd be really, really easy to do. If you got something like ClickFunnels, you can build a landing page in ClickFunnels and then export it as an HTML file and upload those, or just direct subdomains to a ClickFunnels page. My point is there's a million ways to do it, but I would have a subdomain landing page as opposed to an inner page, because that way it would reduce potential penalties against the entire domain. If a subdomain page or site were to get slapped, it would only affect that subdomain, not the root or any of the other sibling subdomains. Does that make sense? So absolutely make sure all three, the name can be the same, but the other three data points, address, phone number, and URL, should all be unique. Okay. What would you recommend the best way to link to GMBs back to the central business website, for example, with service area pages or just a page? Again, just like I mentioned, I would not link directly to the main website other than perhaps in a contextual link from within the GMB website. And you can also link to it from GMB posts once the GMB assets are set up. But I would not link to them directly from like the info tab in GMB to the website unless you're doing it on subdomains, each subdomain being unique to that particular location. It's a good question. It's not letting me +1 though, damn it. Oh, there, that time it worked.